Let's address this common question and concern that I get on a lot of my videos that Donald Trump has all three branches of the government in control. So I disagree. I have shared receipts on this account, so I'm going to just talk without necessarily posting the receipts for now for just purposes of responding to this comment. And if you care to confirm, I've addressed all of these before with receipts in this video, so look at that. So first of all, it's to the executive. As I've said before, the executive branches of the government, which is the president and his executive agencies, including advisory boards he creates, such as Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk's new Department of Governmental Efficiency, DOGE, are all beholden to this bedrock principle law that's created by Congress back in the, I think, 1950s. It's a 54-year-old law called the Administrative Procedure Act. Essentially, it says before any executive agency, as part of the balance of power, can do anything to disrupt long-established principles, rules, procedures that we've created in the United States to make sure our government works efficiently. And I do not doubt that there is pork, there is like fluff, there is lots of waste, there is duplicative roles in the government. That's no doubt. Nonetheless, it's our government. It works for the most part, like a well-oiled machine, albeit with its bumps and bruises once in a while. But it's the envy of a lot of nations around the world. If they had some similar things that we had, they'd be a lot more smooth-running nations. I come from one. I talk about this. I'm a naturalized American citizen, not from here. People have told me on my channel, go back to Africa, buy me a ticket. But yeah, for the most part, Administrative Procedure Act was created so that we don't get disrupted by any whims of any political party, whether Republicans or Democrats. They all have to abide by the same rules, which says you have to present a substantial case law, body, experts, research, data, a record to justify any disruption to our existing established form of government. And without that, you can't do it. That is why we don't regulate the internet today, because don't think that they have not tried, because various different industries and Republican and different Democrats, people have come in and tried, and it's just the standard, the burden is too hard, and they just give up. So that is what we're dealing with. Donald Trump, like I mentioned before, only become a Republican recently. For the majority of his life, he's been a Democrat and a liberal. Vivek Ramaswamy wasn't existent. He was a twinkle in his mama and daddy eye when these laws were put in place. Elon Musk was still a South African resident. He wasn't even a United States citizen back then. They do not understand the extent to which these laws are entrenched. And as I've said in other videos, last time, 2016, 2020, 93% of Donald Trump's executive actions got overruled. He lost in court. They were immediately subject to lawsuits, and they were stuck in and there was one example I gave of this, a rollback of an Obama era. It was like a animal safety organic rule that went in play in 2016. Donald Trump and them tried to disrupt in 2017. That was immediately challenged for 6 years. By the time Biden came in the office, he was like, forget about it. Put it back in place anyway, ignore Donald Trump. So yeah, so we have the balance of power in the judiciary. And speaking of the judiciary, some people try to say, well, because the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Donald Trump when it came to Roe v. Wade, affirmative action, gave him absolute immunity as to official acts. Yes, that's true. However, judiciary includes other aspects of it. You may or may not know, but Bill Clinton, even George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden recently have lots and lots of scores of federal judges that they've all enshrined and put in place that have been doing their things and are not necessarily going to allow all these crazy ideas that Donald Trump has flowing through to come through and not be met upon the challenge. So there is existing balance of power in the judiciary below. For those who don't know, the Supreme Court does not take every single case that comes before it. The Supreme Court doesn't have original jurisdiction in a lot of matters. There are very few cases that go straight to the Supreme Court. Everything else to percolate to the top. So there's going to be people doing, once they file their cases, they're going to be looking for different venues, and they're going to be searching for the liberal, left-leaning circuits and judges, and that's where they're going to be putting their cases. The other side is going to go to conservative. There's going to be a split. That challenge, the process of percolating to the top, takes years. And we know every winter or so, between October and November, the Supreme Court says the handful of cases that they're going to see. And they're going to see every single year. It says 4 years, a handful of cases. They all don't go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court won't even see a lot of these challenges to Donald Trump's actions. They're going to be handled in lower courses below, where there are plenty of Biden, Obama, Clinton, and even George W. Bush's judges are not as MAGA. So yeah, there's processes, there's checks and balances. They're going to see a lot of roadblocks in the judicial system through the system of lawsuits and jurisdiction and jurisprudence. So best believe we're going to have that again. And even as I said before, the United States Supreme Court isn't necessarily beholden to Donald Trump either. Even though he appointed Justice Brett Kavanaugh, Justice Neil Gorsuch, and Justice Amy Coney Barrett to the court, they were part of decisions that went against Donald Trump. The United States Supreme Court ruled against Donald Trump when he asked for a special master in Florida. They said no. Donald Trump ruled, the United States Supreme Court ruled against Donald Trump when he asked for them to not allow the Democrats to see his tax refunds and tax returns. They did. They released them. We've seen them. That was the Supreme Court. Recently, the United States Supreme Court, including 3 justices that Donald Trump appointed and several conservative justices, ruled against Donald Trump when they denied to allow his co-conspirator, Mark Meadows, his former chief of staff, to move the Georgia case, the federal case. Mark Meadows was trying to get under the cover of that immunity decision. And the United States Supreme Court was like, no, we're not touching that. You stay right there in Georgia court, which is not good for Donald Trump. So that tells you they have some principle. I believe that Chief Justice Roberts has some principleness to him. I believe that Neil Gorsuch will go along with the new Scalita, which is Samuel Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas on the conservative side. However, I do think Amy Coney Barrett, she is one in the immunity decision, expressed some hesitation about giving Donald Trump that absolute immunity power. That was Amy Coney Barrett, Donald Trump appointee, and so did Brett Kavanaugh. He's ruled against Donald Trump before. And on our right side, we have the Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and the Justice Sonia Sotomayor and the Justice Elena Kagan on that side. So there's a mixed bag. It's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to rule in favor of Donald Trump every single time. That's a misconception. Now let's go to the legislature. Like in the legislature, we've already seen evidence of them not being beholden to Donald Trump, and the fact that enough senators who have a MAGA proof, meaning that they're not afraid of being primaried. By primary meaning Elon Musk finds a candidate and funnels enough negative ads in their jurisdiction so they lose their primaries, which has been done. I think Sherrod Brown in Ohio is an example of that. So it can be done. However, there are enough Republicans in the House and Senate whose people, their electorate, their constituents put them in power and aren't really moved by Elon Musk like attack ads. And we know this because Marjorie Taylor Greene, we've been trying to get rid of her. She ain't going nowhere. The people who put her in place, she's going to stay there. So that's an example of people in Congress who their constituents love them. AOC, she's loved. You know, no matter how much they try to attack her in primary, as they've done successfully to other members of her caucus, she's not going anywhere. So there are enough of the senators who aren't MAGA and whose constituents love them that they don't care. And we saw this because they said, we're not putting Matt Gaetz in as Attorney General. So when Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, went and polled the caucus, they said, nah. So Mitch McConnell told Donald Trump told Matt Gaetz, he withdrew. So we've already seen limitations to that. And we also have a supermajority, meaning that there needs to be 60%. The Republicans in the House and the Senate don't have 60%. It's really, really hurdle to climb to try to dismantle an entire department. The Republicans have tried to do this before, as I said in previous videos, and they have not been able to because it's a really hard thing to do. Different administrations have tried and failed, and they will fail again. Again, like I said, this clown show, they're new to these things. They don't know the processes. There are a lot of people just don't know. People are just fearful. They're just, and then also they really bolden up their MAGA base because the MAGA base think all this stuff is going to happen, and I'm just like, no, it's not. But y'all can believe if you want to. So I just need the Republicans, the liberals, I just need liberals, the Democrats, Harris supporters to ride with me. And what I have for you guys, actually, I have a tool that I just created. The website is called, it's not Surviving 47, it is outlasting47.com. So there you're going to find a toolkit, a guidebook, and a workbook. It's a companion with this channel. So you go in there. I'm all about be ready so you don't have to get ready. So it has all the checklists, everything you need to know as a federal worker, as a person who cares about regulatory concerns, someone who cares about the environment, what you need to do. I have a workbook so you can follow along. So as I talk about these in the video, you go to your workbook and you fill it out. So share the link with other people. Don't give them the document, share the link so they can purchase it. That's the way you can support my work, what I'm doing here, and support the channel. But also it's a tool for you to get ready. Be ready so you don't have to get ready to prepare. You know, he's going to get inaugurated just around the corner. So let's do these things. So I hope that's helpful for you. Share this video with other people so other folks know and aware. I'm all about like educating the electorate in our side, Sergeant Coons, and making sure people feel better and don't get stressed out and release anxiety. So I got you, JJ Gat. Keep scrolling. share this video.